This is FestivalPass Stories, a podcast series is told by the people who create and make festivals come to life. You will go behind the stage, kitchen, or studio door to hear the stories of passion and inspiration that started some of the world's most beloved festivals. Hear the startup stories and how an idea went from what if to what's next. This is the FestivalPass Stories podcast. We are, as always, presented by the good folks at Dos Hombres, the artisanal mezcal meant to be shared, created by Aaron Paul and Brian Cranston. Have a drink with us at doshombres.com/delivery. And you ever wanted to have that opportunity to invest in a product early that could be the next Airbnb? I want to hear more about this. This is exciting. So learn why entrepreneurs and celebrities with exits approaching $10 billion have already invested in FestivalPass. So go to invest.festivalpass.com to learn more. Apparently people are still using the .coms. I didn't even know that. Look at that. But festival friends, we love talking music. And my guests today are a documented, and this is from what I've read, a force to be reckoned with. That is from a publication I read about this band. They are the Synth-Pop Trio of Kayah, Emily, not with us today, and Leah. 2 out of the 3 are here, and as the recently deceased Meatloaf would say, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And it's not going to be bad today because they make up 2/3 of Moonkissed. What is happening, at least what's happening for 2/3 of the band right now?
Hello.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah. And Kayah's coming to us from London. So
yes.
I believe it's 36 hours ahead, or am I, it's just
Oh,
5?
it's just 5.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Close, too close.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it feels like it, right?
But actually, I'm 2 days ahead of you, so I know what you're going to have for breakfast tomorrow.
Do you have any stock picks for us? Can you tell us what's happening?
Yeah, it's going to be
in the future.
Yeah.
Fans,
but I don't want to disrupt the time space continuum, so I'm just going to keep it to myself. But I do know.
Let's keep it going here. Look, this band is so ahead of its time. It is futuristic. It is 5 hours into the future. And hey, I will get right into it because I don't know why people say that on podcasts. Like, what else were we going to do? We're going to just clear our throats here. But, I believe in love at first sight. I have a real story about that. But this band is the personification of that. I know the story, but I don't know if all of our listeners know it. And what was it that made you click when you were at that New Year's Eve party? Or just, I got to hear this because I believe in this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So happy that you started off on that note. That's exactly what I want to talk about, is just that.
Talk about the love affair that became Moonkissed.
Okay, so first I'll say that I also am a firm believer in love at first sight. I've experienced it. I've seen it with other people. I just think it's the most one of the most amazing phenomenons of being on this earth. I think something that was interesting with Moonkissed's love story was that a lot of the times, incredible things that happen to me, it tends to be you just feel something that feels different. And that was definitely there, but this happened at a point in my life. It was freshman year at college. I kind of was floating, didn't really know what was going on, whatever. And with Moonkissed, there were things that were really tangible that made sense, that tied us together. The biggest thing I think was that I met these 2 people at a party and we're standing around talking to each other, and I'm feeling connected to them. We're getting into this vibe. And my best friend that I grew up with was there, and she goes you guys all look exactly alike. And I'm looking at these 2 people and I'm seeing myself in them. And it was
we had the same haircut at this point.
Yeah, we all had long, dark, super curly, dark features, just looked alike. And I'm looking at them and I've never felt like that before. I'm looking at 2 other people thinking, I'm seeing myself in you and I'm feeling that we are connected in some way.
They thought you guys were the Haim sisters or something, right?
Yeah, true. We got that.
Long lost, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Actually, at our first gig, someone said you guys could be a Jewish Haim or something like that.
They are Jewish. They were like,
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they are.
But the person did say that to us. They were like, you're a vaguely, what did they say? They were vaguely Jewish Haim or vaguely darker featured Haim or something. We've gotten the weirdest comparisons, honestly. We have like a whole list of like, I got one recently that was a very specific. I literally got it today, and it'll come to me.
Well, besides the look that people see, and they're, everybody says we don't judge a book by the cover, but when you see people, you have initial thoughts. But besides the look, when you dig down into what Moonkissed is all about, are there contemporaries to the music that you guys are producing right
now? Like sonically?
Yeah, I mean, is there somebody would be after saying you look like, whatever, whoever, what do people say? Who do they say you sound like?
Yeah, they can't quite pin it down.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to do it.
We've gotten things from, so something that happened was my parents came to a lot of our early gigs, and they brought all their friends, like people like in their like 40s to 60s. And so when they like came of age and like the time they're coming of age, we got a lot of comparisons from that time period, like new age, punk groups, like classic rock stuff, 80s pop kind of things. Yeah. So kind of just like literally from every era, every genre, we've gotten a comparison from that place.
It's true. I'm the female Robert Plant, but also Debbie Harry, also Mariah Carey. Also, we're the Lady Killers. Also, it's like there's so many weird ones.
Well, that was one of the Killers were one of your influences. I was reading something about you, and you were talking about just sort of influences through the decades. And you can hear in one of your songs I was listening to, I really enjoy that sort of Killers sound in there. I was like, I can kind of hear that there. But there's punk in there, right? There's punk influence.
Wait, real quick. I remember the one I got today. It was this guy said that we sounded like he's always found No Doubt to have like some sort of French quality to them, even though they're not French. And he feels it's like we have the same French quality.
I feel that, honestly.
I was like, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I can make that leap mentally because of the makeup of No Doubt. With this strong female, front person to the band, to the crazy style that she always had, to sort of like the Afro punk, bass player, or was he the guitarist? Excuse me. But just the makeup of the band.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there was just something. There was something so cool and maybe European about them that we like so much. Yeah. I don't know what that accent was. I'm not. French. It was somewhere. It was Borat in Paris. I think that's what that was. So my apologies.
Yeah, but the Killers definitely I think the synth stuff for sure. Yeah. Like our early synth sounds. Yeah, exactly. It's that fuzzy, line driven. And then I think the thing I like about the Killers too, the first album and the second album a little bit too, is just it's just dance music it's punk funk. And since then I found other bands that I can relate to more. But I think I liked that it was a blend of rock punk guitar music that you could also sing along to and dance to, that was very simple. And I also think he's a good storyteller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why not Moonkillers and why Moonkissed? What is the background to that name?
So we had another name that it was so dumb. So Emily and I, before Leah, which is an era we don't like to talk about, we had two other drummers that were these dudes. They were fine. But Leah's, the winner, obviously. But we were trying to come up with a name for our first gig, and one of the drummers, Will, just saw this moon gels. They're the squishy thing you put on a snare drum to dampen them.
Okay.
They're literally it looks like a little piece of putty, and they're called moon gels. So we just called ourselves Moon Gel.
Yeah.
But then that was before we were really a band, we just had a gig and it was a joke, or not a joke, but a side project. And then once we started getting managed and doing more, our manager was like, yeah, you have to change your name because that's like a product and like you can get sued because it's like that's the name of the product. So we had to change our name, and it was a whole thing that took months. We went to a psychic named Corey, who Leah and Emily have both gone to. Like Leah went for a while.
Yes, I studied with her for like a year and a half or 2 years.
Yeah. But the first time they went, we all went together to try to, that was our first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we all met Corey, and Corey told us to keep the word moon in our name. So then for months, we were all just like, moon this, moon that, like, you know, like moon, then word. And we had like long lists, and we were like going back and forth. And then I was like, enough, let's end this. And I was like, okay, everyone bring your favorite band name to the table. We're going to have a debate. Like, we're going to fight it out. We're just going to fight until we come up with a name. And then I was the only one to bring a name. So I just won by default.
Did you bring the psychic to the fight or no?
No. She was probably there, not physically, but she was present. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the thing that convinced me was that Kayah said like something about kiss, like Moonkissed, and having it be like the fact that we met on New Year's and like a New Year's kiss, and then you meet under the moon. Like, so it all just kind of tied, and it felt right.
If you had to make me, if you gave me one guess, that's what I would have said. I would have said it's something, it's Kismet, you guys met, and it's like under the midnight moon at New Year's, and this trio was truly kissed by the moon. Yeah. That's what I would have gone with.
Yeah.
You had to make me guess.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely that.
So when along at what point along this, I will ask you first, Kayah, along your musical journey, did you know that this is what you wanted to do? And more importantly, when along that journey, did you also know that you actually could make a living out of this?
With Moonkissed specifically, or with music in
Just
general?
with you personally, your own personal musical journey to say, it's what I want to do. And then, oh my God, I can do it.
Yeah. Well, when I was in high school, I was on a singing show, and that was the first time like I went to LA and like lived there for like 2 months or whatever. And
you were on a singing show. You sound like you don't want to say the name of the singing show.
I was on.
It rhymes with Schmerican Lytle.
It wasn't Schmerican Lytle.
Oh, okay.
It was the X Factor, the last season of the US X Factor.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It was awesome is one word for sure. It was cool. Those shows, I'm so happy that era is like kind of over. I think those shows
the mean,
should, like,
kind of like the mean, jerky, anti-hero judge guy. That thing is gone, right? Like now,
it's not music. Also, like it's just commercialism put in. Like, it's just, I don't know. They tell 15-year-olds that like people don't like them. That's what those shows are.
We don't like you. Your whole 15-year-old weird teenager thing. We're not
quite a
child. I was like, mature. I already hate myself. Yeah.
I suck. I'm 15. I have no idea what's going on with my body.
They're like, you can't wear heels. You should leave LA.
I don't understand.
I was like, I should leave LA.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was on that show, and that was the first time. I mean, luckily there were positives that came of that. And I met 2 things happened that made me realize that you could have a career in music. The first one was I met like one of the other competitors. Her name was Simone Torres. She's like, now she's a huge vocal producer. She like produces Cardi B, and she's like killing it. She went to Berklee School of Music. So that's when I figured out that like you could study music in college. And she told me about the Berklee 5 week, which is where I met Emily, actually. So that all came full circle. So that happened. And then also they had these producers on that would produce the tracks that you sang to every week. Like, it was just like their job to put that together, but they were all like super famous songwriters. So the 2 guys producing my tracks happened to be the One Direction songwriters at the time when One Direction was blowing up. So I was like watching them watch their songs like climb the charts. And I was like, oh, okay, you could be a songwriter. Yeah. So I was just finding out that there was like a whole nother world that I didn't know about. And then when I got back to high school, my high school was really alternative, and there were people that like were in music that were alumni that would like come back and like teach bands and stuff. So one of those guys, his name's Gian Stone. He's also a songwriter that's killing it right now. He and his partner Ben Rice like kind of took me under their wing and like put me in sessions, and we like made a little EP, and I just like learned what the real kind of world of music was like through them. And then met Emily at 5 Week. So that was kind of like this, but I had always like sang and been in bands before that and stuff like.
Yeah, but this gave you that, not credibility, but just that stamp of approval that allows you to start really chasing this. It's no longer a dream.
Yeah.
It is quite literally a reality, right? A reality show.
Well, I think the part that was cool about it was like, I think I was lucky to have seen it for what it was, because I think I could have gotten swept up in how stupid it was. But I think I saw like, okay, that's not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to do the fake thing. I want to do the real thing, which is the writing the songs and the like figuring out who I am and like helping people with art. Like that was... And so that it put me on the journey to that. And I think it could have just as easily swept me up into like the weird fake Instagram world.
So Leah, when did same kind of idea, like that point in your life, in your very young life, where you said, this is what I want to do. And then what was that moment? Was it, if it was meeting Moon, the other two, Moonkissed, that's fine. But when was it like, you're like, when did you give yourself permission to make this your thing?
You know, I think that I never even considered doing anything else. I think pretty much since like the time I was like before I could like speak, I was obsessed with music. And so I just always like every single part, like I have so many stories when I was like a little kid and like I was like rolling around on the ground listening to like music at the mall or like just like some weird thing. Like I was just obsessed with it. And then like when I was super little, I had like instruments in my house that were like gifts from like grandparents, whatever it was, my brother's stuff. And I just played it and I just spent all my time, like I was just involved in it. I went to concerts and was like glued to the stage. It was just my favorite thing in the entire world.
And so you would get an instrument in your hand when you were young and it wasn't like, what is this thing? You were just like, you're plucking it or you're drumming it and you were able to just immerse yourself in that pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I worked hard. It wasn't like a child prodigy situation. Like I wasn't like playing, these crazy things. I just really loved it. It was just a pure, simple, like the way that any human being loves anything. It was just like that. And so I just spent enough time doing it that I was able to play instruments. And then I think I joined a band at like 9 years old. Like my friend like called my like landline and was like, "Can Leah come over and be in my band?" And I was like,
landline, folks.
Yeah.
Landline is making a comeback.
And so then like basically I just kept playing throughout whatever. I studied jazz all throughout like middle school, high school. I went to college for it. And then I think that my goal in life was basically to get a really good gig at a restaurant or a coffee shop and play jazz standards and not get paid any money and go into teaching and just really like humble, low level musicianship. And then I think once I met Kayah and Emily and I saw they were, they're 3 years older than me and I had been through college and I saw like the community that they had built and like the art that they had built, like hearing the Moonkissed songs. And I was like, for the first time in my life, I was like, I can take this seriously enough to say I want to like do contemporary music. Like I don't want to just play because I love music. I want to take this to whatever the next level is, to infinity. And that's when I like committed.
And it's incredible. And this love of jazz that we may share, which I think usually makes my wife roll her eyes a bit. So are you able to incorporate any of that into the music that you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. I think it leaks in.
So interesting, right? It's like with all the pop and kind of punk and we're talking about like bringing in a jazz element. That's what I was saying, that it is hard to pigeonhole this band.
Yeah. Well, also I think the thing that's cool about it is that like, to me, jazz music it was just pop music of its era. And so it's taking like any good music does. I think we just try to take the things that work, the things that everyone loves, the things that like your brain hears and it lights you up. And we just try to take that and put it into everything we do. And it's very natural. It's not like, it's hard to hold it because it exists everywhere at all times rather than like in this one particular harmony thing.
And I think it's funny too, like I didn't study jazz, like they both went to school for jazz, but I was always a fan. And like I learned through Emily, through a lot of like our songwriting together. And I think it's such an extensive world that you could go so deep in. And like in every jazz band I've been in, or every like class, whatever, it's always like they start out being like, what is jazz? And like you have to define what jazz is. And like I do think there's so many different ways to define it. And like, yeah, like what Leah was saying, it was pop music. Like standards are just simple songs that capture they're little vignettes. They capture one tiny thing. They tell one tiny story. And that's what the best songs do. And like, I think whether it's in jazz standard form or it's in like, you know, like a song like, I don't know, like I Love It, Icona Pop, Charlie XCX, like they do the same thing. Like it's like a very tight idea that you can put in your pocket. And I think that's kind of sometimes what we're trying to achieve. Like sometimes we're trying to do the more complex thing for sure. And like we want to like go on a journey and tell a longer story, but sometimes you just want to give people something they can like put in their pocket and dance to.
Yeah. And I think you see that, you know, you mentioned songwriting and these great songwriters and you're like, wow, this is the real side of music. This isn't the Instagram. This isn't the phony stuff. This is real life. And this is why there's a place in Nashville, like the Bluebird Cafe. You can never get in the place because it's just, you're hearing the people who wrote those songs, how talented they are. I mean, somebody else got famous in their own right, but that person got, you know, pretty wealthy from writing that song. And you can have all that publishing and everything to go along with it. But when it comes to writing a song, and when it comes to writing a joke, you got to be very precise with the words. When it comes to writing a song, I know you said you want it. Sometimes you just want to write something for people to dance to, which is excellent. But you also are on this journey to be memorable. Does the songwriting need to be exact to make it a classic?
I think it's about feeling more than anything for something like a classic, like, because I do think there are different styles of songwriting, you know, like there's the really technical camp, like the Swedish camp, which is just like syllables and rhymes. And then there's just some songs where like, I didn't notice that you rhymed you with you until months later, because I was just listening to you talk and like, I just wanted to hear what you had to say and like, be there with you with whatever you were going through because I'm going through something similar. And so I think there's no one answer, you know, like there's different types of songs. Just like I'm sure there's different types of jokes too. Like, but yeah, I think for me, like if I'm not writing, I honestly, I'm always trying to like convey feeling.
Yeah. But I think there is a comparison there between like, you know, the best comedians in the world, or the ones at least can make the best living out of it. You know, they talk about the joke writing. And I think some of the best musicians out there, it's the same thing with the songwriting. Where
I think it does come down to money though, like what you said. Like it comes down to the most successful, and like I'm starting to like question what that means, because now we're in this world where like music is streamed and consumed so quickly to the point where we don't connect to anything. Like albums aren't a staple that remind us of like a certain time in our life anymore because of the way that music is consumed. And then as a result, the way that it's written. And I'm trying to pivot away from that and like not add to that heap of like meaningless commercial bullshit, because it's like, you can write a 3-minute thing. You can write a formulaic joke that makes someone laugh, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Like the best things are going to be something that like no one's heard before, but they connect with.
And somebody's quoting it years later. Like we could spend an entire hour just going over our favorite lyrics from our favorite bands, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely think to your point about like what songs last, what songs become classic and, you know, and the test of time. I have always believed that it's like that music is so out of our hands that it's something that exists, you know, in its own realm, and that sometimes it comes down and communicates through us and with us. And I feel that way about all my favorite songs and all these songs that feel like they've lasted. You know, actually, when I first heard like Forget You by CeeLo Green, I thought to myself, like, I have had to have heard this before. It sounded so familiar and so real. And to me, it became like an instant classic. And I think it's that where it's just, it might be technical. It might be so not technical. It's just like, it's meant to come through and like, yeah, and convey something to us. Like the music is talking to us, not like we're creating or controlling the music.
It's one of the most joyful hate songs, right?
Yeah.
You're like, Forget You, or there is the, of course, uncensored version of it.
Yeah, I don't know if we
like,
get that on here.
Yeah, you suck so bad. And you're like, woo! Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You know? But you can get that same, and that's classic and poppy and fun. But you can take the same subject and have a really like a song that's just full of angst, right?
Yeah.
And it can be something that just you're in the mood for that, right? You just want that, you know.
Yeah, you need the full spectrum of human emotion, and like whether you like, I don't think that all needs to come from the same band either. Like, you know.
But I love that you can take that same genre and you can write songs across the spectrum.
Yeah,
I'm really happy to really angry all about, you know, a really sad thing or just that a relationship ends, and that's brutal. No matter what the relationship is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and quarantine brought us a lot of amazing creativity, right? Like there was the great resignation, people leaving their jobs to say, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but I'm going to try this thing that I love. Or now that I'm home and I can, I don't have to commute those 2 hours each way each day. Now I just bought 5 hours a day. I just bought 20 hours a week. That's a part-time job. I just gave myself an opportunity to explore that creative avenue. And to be honest, this podcast really started out of that as well, because we needed content for FestivalPass, because FestivalPass was launched in January 2020. And then, who wants to talk about live events, right? When they weren't happening. So we're like, what we do want to do? We want to provide people with content, and we want to hear about the songwriters. We want to hear about the musicians. We want to hear about the talent behind the scenes that are attending these festivals.
That's awesome.
And those are the stories people want to hear. So I want to hear the story of creativity that came from you guys when you created the song Clubbing in Your Bedroom, which it's got the synth, it's got all of this great stuff. But how did that story come about? Was it a night together when this happened?
It was me and Emily. Yeah. Like I was really anxious one time. Like it was like a COVID scare, and like, you learn, like now at this point, I'm like, whatever, like I've had to deal with like anxiety, but it was really bad. Like at the height of the pandemic, like I was a very deeply
because you were worried person. Before the vaccines were out, we were all worried we were going to
die. Yeah. And I like went out with like some coworkers, and I was like, fuck, I killed someone's grandma, like that thing. And it was like raining. I was hungover. Like I was just like in a bad place. And like Emily is one of my best friends. She's like, come over, I'm going to cook for you. Like we're going to like get drunk and dance. And so we did that and just like blasted it. We were like, that was the day we wrote it. Cause I was like, wait, why did I drink 2 days in a row? We wrote it about a night a few weeks before, when we had like, we were really sad and bored, and like we were in each other's bubbles. So I just went over to her place and we like blasted music and danced. And then like a few weeks later, I was feeling really guilty, and I went over and we wrote the song about that night. Cause I was like, I wouldn't have drank 2 days in a row, but the writing, no, it's just like, I get so depressed.
As long as you drink artisanal mezcal 2 days in a row, that's okay.
Yeah. So, and songwriting always makes me feel better. So that's what that came out of. And just like how sad it was that like we had to just like, it was just literally me and her like with whiskey in her bedroom.
But isn't that kind of the freedom of it? The old dance like no one's watching. I mean, no one was watching except one of your best friends in the world. Totally.
And I think it's like before the pandemic, we had that, like, we loved to go out dancing. Like that was one of our favorite things to do. Like that's what our shows were. That's what like weekends were. And like suddenly you couldn't do it. And it's like physically, I think it does a lot for your body. Like you just feel so free and you let so much go. And then I think, I didn't realize like how much I was holding on to by not just like going out and dancing.
So on that note, with the writing, you know, Kayah, you're in London right now and you're doing some songwriting now, but are you always writing music, or do you kind of have to wait for that inspiration? Or, again, is it just, it's always a process?
Yeah, I'm starting to learn about like my specific cycle a little more, because I think it's different for everyone. And for me, it's always just been the thing that I do, like when I feel anything, and it's just something that's so comfortable to me, and I do it pretty much every day. Like I pretty much write probably like at least 3 songs a week, whether it's by myself or with other people. And but there are times when it feels good, and then there are times when it's just like not feeling good. And I like not that I force myself to do it anyway. It's just like I do it anyway because that's just what I do. It's like habit. But I'm reading this book called Wintering, which is like about hibernation, like human hibernation, and like how you have to, when your body is telling you not to do something, like maybe it's best to listen to it. So I'm starting to like wonder about that, just like creatively, because there are definitely times when it comes to you and it's so natural and it feels really good, and that's when the best songs come out. But I like have always written through the periods where that's not happening, and I wonder if I just like didn't, if that would make, I don't know, if it would just make it easier on me as a person.
Leah, what are your thoughts on that? Is it something where you just need that moment, or do you have like one of those processes like I say I'm going to learn 15 minutes of Spanish every single day. I'm just going to do it. And do you say every day you're going to try and write something, or is it just it doesn't work? Because I'm not an artist, so I wouldn't know. So what? Yeah. And for those out there, seriously, there's so many people that, at least I hope there's so many people listening that that want to, that have that music inside them and have no idea how to get it out. How do you get it out?
Well, definitely. I mean, one thing is that I'm not a person of routine. I eat when I'm hungry, sleep when I'm tired, write when I want to write. And it's like that with anything. Like I just can't really force myself to do anything. I have to just, if I have to be excited about something, that's when I have to do it, no matter what it is. But I think about that for I've talked about this a lot with like friends and different people that are creative, and they don't do music as their thing all the time. And like, how do you do that? And the way I think about it, and something I've talked about with people that have done that successfully, have just written when they needed to, was just to do whatever you want, and there's no wrong way to do it. So if you're writing a song, just scribble it, anything on a napkin. I do that all the time. Is I write constantly when I want to on anything I can, just to get it out. And then if I like it, I'll keep it. And I just think there's no wrong way to do it, because it's so personal and it's expressive. Yeah.
I think it's similar to going to the gym, which everyone talks about. Like, it's like, there are people.
I was going to make that reference. But
it's very similar, because it's like, for me, like, I force myself to do it. Like, I forced myself to do like a 30-day songwriting thing every day, because I was in a rut, and I was like, this will help me get through it. This will get me out of the rut. And it worked, and it was great. But for some people that just wouldn't work, and they would stop because they were tired, and that's okay. Like maybe they have like a faster metabolism than me, so they don't have to go to the gym all the time. Like it's to each their own, and every body and every like mind, and like how you were raised too. Like I was just like raised to follow through like in a big way, and it's like unhealthy sometimes, but that's just who I am. It's like I write a song every day pretty much, but that doesn't mean it's right. And that doesn't mean my stuff is better.
Good point. I like that. So speaking of things that are better, we're getting back to festivals. And in 2020, you guys were invited as official artists to the festival. One of, there's so many the festivals, people would say, but one of the best brands out there is what the cool kids on the street call South by. South by Southwest, which of course is so much more than a music fest now. It's tech, it's movie, it's everything, it's so much. But to be recognized as an official artist, I mean, that's recognition that puts that stamp of approval on there. But you were asked to come back this year once again. as an official artist. So what does that mean to a young band like yours to get that call once again, when I would imagine that the demand for bands trying to get in this year was even harder than it was in 2020?
Yeah, it feels really good. I'm super grateful, like, to have just like the stamp of approval, and then also to have the opportunity to get in front of people in that capacity and to be around that environment of creators. I was just like, when I got the news about this, I was like, just a sigh of relief. It felt really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's totally full circle.
Yeah.
And Kayah, is it a phone call that you get about this, or is it just or are they much more modern than that? Like there's an app, and on the app it says you're selected.
Actually, so we're in a very different place than we were when we originally were asked. Well, when we got accepted to play in 2020, because in 2020, like, we applied, and like our manager manages a ton of really cool bands. Like he manages like Jose Gonzalez and Bedouin, and Chick Chick Chick. So he's like very connected. So he was like, I got you, like, you're gonna get in, and we got in. And that was sick. So you kind of that definitely made it easier. Like, we knew someone that knew someone, and then now we have booking agents. So it wasn't as like, we weren't involved, honestly. Like, they were just like, yeah, this is the move. Like, we're gonna get you to play South by. So I know that's like hard to hear for, people applying. Like, it's frustrating, but yeah, it's like we have a team behind us that pushes us.
Well, that's great, and that's the dream, right? And when I said young band, I mean this. You guys aren't indie, but you're still, you've been together for how many years now?
2.5 years, I want to say.
We met 2019. Yeah.
And actually, the first time we got in, we did just submit regularly, and we got in like the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Emily submitted us the first day. She literally did it. And the next day, I think we got in, and I was like, this is a scam. I was like, I've never even heard of this festival.
You're right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think this year, I guess our managers did it, but I guess they submitted us. Yeah. But I actually didn't know that.
I think it's because we have booking agents. It makes it like.
Maybe, yeah. But definitely the first year we got in just as a nothing band, no nothing. Like, I don't even think we had Brian.
That's cool.
We might have had Brian. I don't know.
I think we had Brian, but I don't know if he helped.
No, he didn't.
I think that's funny though, that you say, you think it's a joke, right? It's like when something is too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly.
That's been a lot of our careers. Like, it's always that.
I've been like, no,
are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're like, shut up.
Back in the day in 2000, I believe this was 2004 or 5, I was at a Knicks game at the Garden, and I answered trivia on my phone. It was like the Nokia flip phone. It was like, press 1 for A, press 2 for B. And I answered like 4 questions and got it right. I got them all right. But then like a week later, I get a call, and this guy's like, congratulations, you've won the opportunity to play basketball on the floor of the world's most famous arena. And I was like, right, yeah. Okay, Joe, Steve, like, who is this? Like, who's messing with me? And I was like, if this is real, why don't you email me? And he sends me an email from like at Yahoo or something. I was like, this is a joke. This is a total scam. My dream would be to play basketball on the floor of the Garden. Your dream will be to play in South by Southwest or one of these amazing festivals. There's just no way this is real. But then it is. So then you kind of get this second burst of energy, sure. Leah. So when you realized it was real, then what?
Then I guess we just we're just preparing for it, basically. Like, it's going to be like rehearsals and get everything together. And also, like, I think a big part of it is capitalizing on just that week of like, we're going to be down there. Everyone's going to be at the same place at the same time. How many shows can we play? This has kind of always been like our ethos, is just like, as long as we can get in front of people and we can play our set, it's fine. We're going to do it. Like, we'll get on stage and we will power through until they love us. And that is the only way we know to do it. Just like
twice a day if we have to.
Twice a day if we have to. Yeah, like as much as possible. So that's the goal, is just getting shows booked down there and playing for people, basically.
Yeah.
And look, it was when you get on a stage like that, do you say to each other, maybe we should play that new thing we wrote that we really love? Or do you just stick to, like if I'm going to go see Springsteen, I don't want to hear him playing The Ghost of Tom Joad, or, something that Bruce is pulling out, like, I wrote something new for y'all. And I'm like, come on, Bruce, give me Thunder Road. Right?
Well, we rehearse hard. So like, we don't make a lot of snap decisions on stage, which I kind of like, because I like to know how I'm going to be able to say something to somebody. And but we are playing some new stuff though.
But it's definitely not improv. Like for the whole first year of our band, like all of our shows, we played to an Ableton set. So nothing could change. Like we played to click. And that was because like I didn't want to talk on stage. So we had like specific interludes between songs, which we still do, but we found a different way to do that. But I think like, we played like robots for the first like year. Yeah. And so now we're like, we like that. Like we like that there's a start and an end. And some nights we skip songs, some nights we change the order. Like it just depends on how we feel. But we have like a rehearsed show because it's like it's theater for us. Like it's very like.
Yeah. And what do you mean you didn't want to talk on stage? Like you didn't want to get into certain subjects, or you just were like, I just want to play music. I'm so nervous that I want to get this done.
I had really bad stage fright for a really long time, and I just like didn't like talking. Like it made me, I felt awkward, and I felt like it took away from the show. And I hated when banter was bad, and I was like, I'm going to do bad banter. So I just don't want to do it. And so we found other ways to do it. And I think that's something that more people should really do, is like with that specific thing, but with anything, it's like, if you're not good at something and if it makes you uncomfortable, find a loophole, because there's no like, you don't have to listen to what people tell you to do ever. You can make your own rules.
Also, then this really cool thing happened where because it was so rigid, and because there was no talking, there was no whatever, it was just like, we're going to play this music that we prepared for you. One thing that happened was it became very improvisational energetically, that the way we would, and then also all the communication was happening without words. So we would look at the audience, and we all knew, everyone in the room knew exactly what we were all thinking and feeling. Like it was, I mean, it's the weird thing how to describe the energy of a show, but it became so locked in and so connected and so exciting and alive that I don't think that would have happened had we been playing a typical set like any other band does and been like, hey guys, how are we feeling tonight? Like it just would have killed it. It was like, we knew how we were all feeling,
Yeah. And it got our community more involved, because it's like the audience. I mean, not only did we get like our friends to do spoken word bits for our in between songs, but also like we had like dance routines with the audience and like stunts that we would pull with the audience, and they knew it was coming, and they learned them, and they came back and wanted to do that thing, or like watch, like Leah like stand on the drum kit, or like watch me like roll on the floor, like whatever it is, they'd like be ready for those things.
Yeah.
And I love that you didn't do the talking at first, because I tell you what, I really don't need those open-ended questions from bands. I don't need to be asked if I'm ready to rock, ? I'm here. I'm ready to rock. Don't give me out of it. Don't give me the option to look around at my friends and be like, I'm going to be honest, I'm not ready to rock. Are you ready to rock?
You guys ready to rock?
We're not. The three of us are not prepared. We're not prepared to rock. We're going to go.
Yeah.
And then you leave. And just it's because somebody, I just came for the music. And now you're telling me this, you're asking me these open-ended questions, and now I'm like,
yes. You want to be transported like at the end of the show. And how are you supposed to be transported when you're like pulled out of it?
Yeah.
Continuously. Because I think there are people that do it well and it's part of their set. But it's like, I want people to feel like they left a theater, they left a movie, like they were like lost and in a warp. Like,
yeah. And who does that is I think Mitski's stage presence is the best, because it's not real talking. It's not like, she's saying something.
It's rehearsed.
All rehearsed. Every moment is like, and then there's also those great full moments of silence where the crowd can say, oh my God, or like it can be real. And then at the very end of the show, she just goes over and she just says like, thank you. And that's it. And that's all I need from anyone, is just like a moment of gratitude, and then we all go home.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment of gratitude coming from South by, what could you take that? What could you turn that into? Like, what did you hope, like, when you walked out of there? Like, I've heard the whole thing, like, you're never hotter than you are, like, the 2 weeks after Sundance or winning Sundance or something like that. So you guys must have felt pretty hot coming off of that. Was there something that you were like, I hope the next thing is, I don't know, what's a festival that you would have loved to play or loved to be invited to after that? Leah, I'll let you go first.
Well, yeah, all of them. I mean, one thing that's interesting is that the first time we were supposed to go to South by, our goal was to get booking agents. And then South by didn't happen. And then in that time period, the year, we got booking agents. So that was definitely one goal that was met. We wanted to, like, build our team and build our kind of thing. Now I feel like, I mean, my goal is I want to go tour the world with a massive band. And I actually got a tarot reading last night that said that a lot of world tour travel is going to be in the future. So that's where I'm putting my energy, is traveling.
Yeah, you're shaking your head yes to this world domination.
For sure. I mean, it's been so, like, like, we have picked one or two people out of crowds with every show that have followed us religiously and, like, stay in touch with us and, like, write us letters and, like, it's like a very, very special thing. And to be able to do that on a mass scale would be, like, incredible. And I'm also just, like, tired of people being like, you guys are being slept on. You guys are being slept on. Like, I do not want to hear that again. Like, so fucking wake up then. I don't know. Like, that's not my problem. So yeah, it's like, it would be sick to, like, be able to, feel like we're really impacting a large amount of people, because on every tour, it's like we sell everyone a t-shirt. Everyone in the crowd wants a t-shirt. Even if there's only 20 of them or 5 of them, they all buy a t-shirt. So it's like, we can win people over. So just give us a big audience. We're ready.
Oh, there you go, Coachella.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Come on, Coachella.
Come on.
You can kick the world tour off at Coachella. We like that. We like that a lot. So, Leah, did you grow up going to music festivals? And was this kind of one of those things that you were like, oh man, imagine being on that stage one day?
Yeah, definitely. I went to concerts, festivals, just everything. And I looked at them so intensely, being like, how can I absorb your power and do that? And how can I get on that goddamn stage? So yeah, this definitely feels like, and I dreamt it and I willed it and I wanted it, but I never really even thought it was going to happen. And then with Moonkissed, I was like, oh no, it's real. Like, this can totally happen. And yeah, my goal basically was just to be like, I want to play those festivals because I feel like people are craving engagement. I remember the first time I went to Gov Ball, and it was amazing. The music was so good. The environment was awesome. But during the concert, like, it didn't feel super like we were all at this festival together. And, like, that seems like it's kind of the dream of a lot of, like, these older festivals you hear about, is like, it was like a small, intimate hang with 1 million people. And that's really what I want to achieve. And I think is possible with our music and with the people that gravitate towards us, is like, we can feel like a family in an audience, which feels really, really good and healing for people.
And Kayah, did you have that same kind of experience growing up, or was it like you were going to food festivals or something, or were you even going to festivals?
Honestly, I don't have that many, like, festival memories. I definitely have, like, memories of, like, shows and, like, wanting to be on the stage. Like, they were never, like, huge stages though. Like, honestly, I think I got that idea, like, pretty late in life. But yeah, I think it's just the idea of, like, being able to travel with music and reach a lot of people all at once.
Sometimes it's just like that hometown theater or something, where I saw a comedian recently who was so excited to play the Beacon Theater. The Beacon is an iconic theater, and yes, it's New York City, and it's a beautiful place, but it's not Madison Square Garden, right? I mean, it's 35, I think it's 5,500 seats, maybe 55, maybe. Yeah. So, but I mean, like, that was like, he's like, that's it. I don't need to play the Garden. I wanted to play. This was so important to me. And it, Leah, as you said, it's like, excuse me, tons of fans, whatever, but it felt intimate to him.
Yeah.
Right? It was a club. It was a club for those people, those hardcore fans who bought every ticket in the house to hear him just say the stupid stuff that he loves to talk about.
Yeah.
And they ate it up. And for him, it's like, I can kind of retire now, or I'll just do this. Can I be in residence here for the next
forever.
6 months, a year?
Good for him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I feel like those are the best kind of dreams, is like just something that you really want because you just happen to want it, not because the entire world says that this is the thing to want.
Yeah.
So what is next? I know we're running out of time here, and I appreciate your time. And before Kayah falls asleep on us 5 hours ahead, she's already revealed so many secrets about what's happening in the future. But one more secret that you can reveal about what's happening, not 5 hours ahead, but down the road. Kayah, why don't we start off with that? And what's next for you? What's next for Moonkissed?
Yeah. Well, we definitely are taking it like one step at a time. Like we have South by, and then we're planning a little tour on the West Coast. And then we're back in New York for a string of shows in June. And then I think it's going to be album time. We've been working on this third album forever, and we got to get her done one way or another. We have to figure it out. So
Leah,
we're waiting to see if some things come together, but if not, we're just going to make it work because that's what we always do.
Yeah.
Well, Leah, can you give us a hint of any of that new music? Are we going to have going to get a little bit more of that jazz flavor in there leaked in somehow?
Yes, definitely. This one, I'm super excited because we used to say that like the first album felt like it was like from Kayah's heart, and the second one from Emily's heart, and this one from my heart. And we obviously it's like all our babies and everything, but I feel very, very connected to this album. It's I think it'll be very emotional and very feel good, and just like, I don't know, it should just feel like the candy of music, basically. And there might be some sneak peeks. Our next show that's on the books in New York is June 7th at Elsewhere Rooftop. And we're having Kate Davis in the bill also, so it'll be a great show.
So June 7th at Elsewhere?
Yeah, the Rooftop.
Elsewhere Warehouse Rooftop. And then Kate, who's your special guest?
Kate Davis.
Kate Davis.
She's fucking
Kate
awesome.
Davis.
Check out her albums.
Got to check out KD. There's two KDs, and Kate Davis and Kevin Durant. There's the two KDs in New York right now. You cannot be if there's a third KD out there. I don't know. I don't know about them. So that's a great great plug for that show. There's a new EP out. What's that all about?
Yeah, so it's a 3-song EP. It's titled "I'm on My Way" as a little in-between song between our second and third album. It features 3 songs: "Another Snow Day in Brooklyn" that comes with a music video, "The Hills," and "I'll Never Know." And yeah, it's a cute little nugget of an EP. It feels like the songs are 3 very distinct songs, but very connected. Kayah can probably tell you more about like what the lyrics are all about and everything.
Yeah, well, we just kind of tapped into our demos because there was just like when New York shut down in December again, we had to cancel a show, and New Year's was canceled, which is our anniversary, so that was really sad. And we just were like, we have to do something Moonkissed, and so I was like, I want to work on music like remotely, like let's pick 3 demos and like spruce them up for an EP. And I think we chose these 3. They all kind of have to do with feeling like stuck and trapped in a way, but they all kind of take different angles into that and into like escaping that. So yeah, that's why we picked those specific 3 to spruce up. And like, yeah, I think they kind of were outliers. Like we were like, we love these songs, but I don't know if they're going to fit into like the full story of our third album.
Fantastic. And the name of the EP once again is
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way as long as I'm not stuck in a snowdrift in Brooklyn. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And I should say as well that I did live the dream, and I did get to play basketball.
I was wondering, you made it seem like you didn't.
I know everybody's just hanging like, did he ever get to play? Did he? Yes.
Was it euphoric?
It was euphoric, and I was sure someone was messing with me, and they weren't. It was a legitimate contest. And the Knicks were so bad that season that they offered me a full-time point guard role. I was like, look, I got this marketing gig, and it's okay. All right, I'll play for you. No, that part didn't happen. That would have been pulling my leg if I got to sit on the Knicks bench or anywhere near it. But dreams do come true, kids. So
stay in school, do basketball.
Yeah.
Learn trivia, win contest.
Trivia.
I imagine you're going to have this on the social media, so we can follow you on Instagram. Where are we going to see it?
Yes, we're at Moonkissed Music on every social platform, every streaming platform, everywhere.
At Moonkissed, not kiss, but kissed with an ED on the end. Moonkissed Music on all the social platforms.
Yes. Thank you.
Bingo. Well, I feel like I was moon-kissed here a bit myself, and I am flattered that you took the time to tell us more and share these really intimate stories about your journey in music, which is just getting started. So, Kayah, Leah, and love to Emily wherever you are tonight.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you to Moonkissed. And folks, we'll see you next time on the next episode of FestivalPass Stories.
Yay. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This is FestivalPass Stories, a podcast series is told by the people who create and make festivals come to life. You will go behind the stage, kitchen, or studio door to hear the stories of passion and inspiration that started some of the world's most beloved festivals. Hear the startup stories and how an idea went from what if to what's next.